One of my favorite quotes is, "To learn a language is to have more window from which to look at the world." End quote. This is very true, but this video is about learning an accent, not a language. Well, part of the difference between language and accent learning is language is more structured, whilst accent is more intuitive. Something you don't memorize, but something more of a feeling. Well, accent is sort of like the spirit of the language, per se. If you have not watched part 1 of this video, I recommend you go and watch that. It's pretty much the meat and potatoes of this, and this is more of like a icing on the top slash more advanced tips. Just a disclaimer, you won't really master an accent by just watching this video. It's more of a guidance so you can do it faster and you don't have to reinvent the wheel per se. Starting with tip number 1, which might sound a little counterintuitive, but it is to speak faster. If you've taken any English classes or in college or school or any sort of like public speaking classes, you would know that the lecturer would tell you to speak slower and clearer, but trust me, when you want to sound like a native speaker, it's better to speak faster. Obviously, when you practice, you might want to practice speaking slower, but when you're actually speaking, you might want to pace it up a little. One thing I forgot to address was, is it even possible to actually learn an accent once you get past a certain age? Because people have this arbitrary age and they believe that once you pass that age, you can't really learn any accent. I don't think it is true. I've done it. I know many people have done it, and I believe it is truly possible, and I don't think you should be limiting yourself by having some arbitrary age and thinking that past that you can't really learn any accent. That's just you're limiting yourself. A quick point for those who think they have a bad accent: there's no such thing as a bad accent when you're trying to learn an American accent. But when I say something is wrong or not correct while I'm like explaining things to you, it only means that whatever you're saying might sound foreign to a native speaker. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it sounds foreign to a native speaker, that he or she might find a little off, per se. And for tip number 2, I think you guys should learn phonetics. I think it's a very important skill when you're trying to learn a new accent. It's a really useful skill to have in your arsenal. Phonetics really help you get really good with the pronunciation, the liaisons, which is basically letters you pronounce and the letters you don't, like the silent letter. For example, if you there are so many cars here. For example, when you're trying to say the word better, which I said it in an American accent, but if you're trying to spell the word better, if you're trying to be textbook about it, you would say it as better with the T, but if you learned the phonetics, you would know to say it as better, almost sounding, basically sounding as a D. The 2 T's would sound as a D. Now the third tip might sound very obvious, but it's such an important detail that I just can't leave it out. And this whole video would be pointless if you don't do this, because this should be 80% of your learning process. This should be main thing in your learning curve, because this is what will help you identify those patterns and change your learning so you can actually speak in a smooth manner. So basically, tip number 4 is listening to American accent. Right. You need to listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of movies, And when I say listen, I mean really listen, like actively listen. There's a difference between binging a show versus actively trying to learn it. When you're trying to learn it, you're trying to understand it, you pause, you don't, if you come across a word, you try to pronounce it, try to mimic it. That's what I mean. I could literally watch a show from the 70s, which was where people had like a strong Irish accent or whatever, and I would understand it, but that doesn't mean I can now speak an Irish accent with the slang of people from the 70s, Basically, what I'm trying to say is actively trying to learn while you do this, and I can guarantee you will see progress.
And a bonus tip, and I put this as a bonus tip because a lot of people can practice this. I guess you can practice it by recording yourself. I would say tip number 4 would be bonus tip, would be practicing it, basically speaking. And you can still practice it. You can like record yourself, watch it, and see where you sound awkward, I guess. But that wouldn't be really optimal. It would be better if you can actually talk to a native speaker. So what I did, I have an idea what we could do is I could have a few workshops on Zoom where I could get a bunch of you guys and we can have a few activities where we can go over a few phrases, few words, see where your sticking point is, see where you guys are having trouble, and when you notice these patterns, when you notice these simple mistakes, you'll be able to correct them in a single sentence and even multiple sentences. So these workshops will be basically improving your confidence in speaking in general, preparing for whatever interview you're going for, and it will also help you learn an accent better. And for now, I want to do like multiple people, like a workshop, but I might do like one-on-one as well, depending on your needs and how. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that part out. But for now, I'll have some workshops in, and if you guys anyone wants to be part of it, I would want you to ideally reach out to me on Instagram. But if you can't do that, you can just email me, and I'll put the email and everything, Instagram, in the description. You can find it. If you have any questions, just put it in the comments section. I can't fucking speak. And yeah, that'll be the end of the video. I have to speak a little quieter because some people are sleeping even in the daytime. I'm not gonna snitch on them. Alright.